Didn't get the Well, it is 6 o'clock, and I will call this Missoula City Council meeting of June 7th to order. Please let the record note that all council members are present except for Mr. Von Lossberg this evening. This is a Zoom webinar, and there are plenty of instructions about how to participate, and I suspect everyone knows them by heart by now. We do have minutes of the May 24th meeting. If there aren't any changes, they'll be approved. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the schedule of committee meetings. Ms. Rabine.
Okay, can everybody see the committee schedule? I thought I'd try something new tonight. We'll actually look at it. So we're setting up committee meetings for this coming week on Wednesday, June 9th. And we have a few of them to talk about. The Public Safety and Health Committee will meet at 11:10 in the morning and go till 11:20. Parks and Conservation will meet from 11:35 to 11:45. The Land Use and Planning Committee will meet from 12:15 to 1:15. Administration and Finance Committee will meet from 1:30 to 2 o'clock. And the Public Works Committee will end the day from 2:15 to 3 o'clock. Just like this city council meeting tonight, all these meetings are held via Zoom webinar, and you can find the agendas and the meeting join information and what we're going to talk about on the city's website at www.ci.missoula.mt.us, or you could just Google the city of Missoula. That's probably easier. There's a button in the middle of the page called meetings. If you click on that, you'll get to Agenda Central for all of our public meetings, including these committee meetings. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Rabine. Any changes to the committee schedule this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the public comment portion of our agenda. This is your opportunity to comment on items not elsewhere on the agenda this evening, and we'll ask that you keep your comments germane to the business of the city of Missoula and to about 3 minutes. And one hand in the audience. Mr. Larson.
Yes, Matt's Larson, Ward 3. I'm still not receiving a capital asset list from the city. You told me yourself, Mr. Mayor, that was going to come to me from Lee Griffin last week, I believe. And I've been asking for this for months, and I literally don't know why this is even an issue. To believe that the city does not keep an inventory or cannot readily find a capital asset list is utterly ridiculous. I'll comment more on the claims later.
And any other general public comment this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda items here. Were approved unanimously in council committees and placed on the consent agenda so that we can consider these items all at once. Ms. Rabine will read the list of consent agenda items aloud so folks in the audience will know what we're considering, and we'll take comment before we vote. Ms. Rabine.
Thanks, Mary. Again, tonight's consent agenda has 3 items. The first is to ratify the city's accounts payable. We're paying vendors here who've done work for the city or provided supplies in the amount of $582,576.02 for checks that were dated June 1st, 2021. The second item are the accounts payable for this week. And they are in the amount of $400,011.13 for checks that are dated tomorrow, June 8th of 2021. And number 3 is to set a public hearing on June 21st of 2021 to consider a development fee schedule amendment in support of a comprehensive development review capacity plan. And those are for the Community Development Planning and Innovation Office.
Thank you, Ms. Rabine. Questions or comments from council members? Mr. Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can we please divide item 5.1 to vote on it separately? Because I'd like to abstain due to a business partner's company getting paid some money.
We may.
Thank you.
And seeing no further discussion, Mr. Larson.
Yeah, this is Matt Larson, Ward 3. Just wanted to direct everyone's attention to a $1,060 refund to Taco Bell. It's not on the $1,000 and over invoices list. It's on the smaller invoices list, which I continually notice is more and more generic. There are more and more charges to multi-department expenditures from Ace Hardware, from Office City. But literally, I'm just totally mind boggled as to why the city is refunding Taco Bell $1,060. So if anybody can explain that, that would be helpful. Just like a capital assets list would be helpful, just like not being banned from contacting my city via email or phone would be helpful, just like not sitting on your hands would be helpful. Thank you.
Seeing no additional comment on the consent agenda, we will have a roll call vote on item 1.
Okay, on the claims from last week, Anderson,
Yes.
Becerra,
Yes.
Contos,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Merritt,
Yes.
Ramos,
Abstain.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Vasika,
Yes.
and West.
Yes.
And would any of you like to change your vote? That is 10 ayes, 1 abstention, 1 absent.
And item 1 is approved. And on the remainder, please, Ms. Rabine. Ms. Rabine, we appear to have lost you.
There I am. Better? I'm like, how come she's not voting even though I'm calling her name? The thing of the decade. You're on mute, Marty. Becerra.
Yes.
All right. Contos.
Yes.
Harp.
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
Ramos.
Yes.
Cheryl.
Yes.
Vasika.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
And Anderson.
Yes.
And would any of you like to change your vote? That is 11 ayes and 1 absent.
And the remainder of the consent agenda is approved. We have no comments from city staff, agencies, boards, commissions, authorities, or the community forum this evening, nor do we have any special presentations or public hearings. We do have a number of items for final consideration. These items were considered as a function of public hearing and staff report in weeks past, and council will now take final action on these items. The public hearings on all of these items this evening are now closed, and we'll take them in order, starting with the resolution for budget amendments. And Ms. Jones.
Thank you. I would like to make the recommended motion to adopt a resolution amending the annual appropriations for the city of Missoula, Montana, as set forth in the fiscal year 2021 budget and capital improvement program. And I'd like to speak to it briefly.
Ms. Jones.
Thank you. There's numerous different things in this third quarter budget amendment. The most important things that I wanted to draw attention to are the fact that this is adding some staff to our Office of Community Development, Planning and Innovation, specifically 2 associate planners, 1 assistant planner, and also a deputy director. We have spent a lot of time talking about the fact that this department needs to increase its capacity in order to get things out the door more quickly. And there are numerous different ways of accomplishing that. But this is one component. And so I am glad that we are doing this. I think this is going to help greatly to have that extra staff because we need to get things out the door quickly and get more stuff built is the bottom line. Thank you. And I'm in favor of it tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Further discussion on the budget amendments. Mr. Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Normally, as you guys know, I vote for these budget amendments. They're pretty rudimentary and just kind of housekeeping. But in this case, there are some good things, but there's also some bad things. And in my opinion, I think a lot of these things could have waited until the regular budget process, such as the remodel of 1337 West Broadway building, which I did not vote to approve that purchase. And now we're trying to spend an additional $300,000 for that. There's a variety of new employments, which has been alluded to by Councilwoman Jones, which I think we need to discuss a little bit deeper in the budget session. And then there's budget transfers, which I am also not too comfortable with at this time, mostly because we haven't had a chance to have the public have a full view of what that is and why that needs to be done. There's some stuff going on in Karis Park, which I think is good work. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure if we necessarily need it right at this moment. And then there's the issue of transferring more money to a further subsidy of aquatics, which was we were told back in 2006 or so that would be self-sustaining within 5 years. And certainly here we are 2021 and that's not the case. So just general philosophical differences. I think there's some good things that are done there, but for the most part, I'm voting no because I think a lot of this should have and could have been done in the regular budget process. So thank you.
Further discussion, Ms. Hart.
I'll be in full support of the budget amendments tonight. I think Jesse brings up some really great points, but there are times within an organization that sometimes you just have to move more quickly than waiting for the regular scheduled budgetary hearings. And in this particular case, in particular, the Office of CPDI, I think it's absolutely critical that we should have, in a perfect world, we would have done this a year ago. Here we are, and we had to wait for analysis and results before Aaron Pahan could actually make that recommendation. I fully support the entire budget amendment. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, anyone in the audience care to comment? Seeing none of that, we will have a roll call vote.
On the resolution approving the budget amendment, Contos.
No.
Hart.
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
Ramos.
No.
Cheryl.
Yes.
Vasika.
No.
Von Lossberg is absent. West.
Oops. Yes.
Anderson
Yes.
and Becerra.
Yes.
Okay, that is 8 ayes, 3 nays, and 1 absent.
And the motion is approved. Next up are funding recommendations for our entitlement programs. Ms. Jones.
Thank you. I would like to make the recommended motion that we adopt a resolution granting approval of the City of Missoula Annual Action Plan for Program Year 2021, awarding Home Investment Partnerships Program, consisting of Home and Community Development Block Grant CDBG funds to certain organizations, directing staff to negotiate contracts and agreements, and authorizing the mayor to sign the contracts and agreements with said organizations. And I'd also like to speak to this one briefly.
Ms. Jones.
Thank you. We have quite an extensive process every year for deciding how these federal dollars will be spent in our community. My understanding is each year these dollars basically shrink because they are not, there is no allocation for inflationary costs. So they are all the more valuable as we are allotted these. So I just wanted to highlight that this year, after a lot of deliberation, the CDBG funds, the great majority are going to Homeward for the Trinity Navigation Center. I have been spending a lot of meetings lately regarding housing people in Missoula, and especially people who do not have housing, and how we are going to continue to work on accommodating that, especially as those numbers are forecast to increase. So getting our Trinity projects built and those navigation centers, especially within them, is huge. And as we all know, nothing is getting cheaper. Everything is getting more and more dear this year in terms of all sorts of different materials. So I'm glad to see a big chunk going to the Trinity Navigation Center. We also have some smaller allotments to the YWCA for their Family Housing Center, the Poverello Center for Housing Retention Specialist and Rapid Intake and Assessment, and Homeward for Financial Education and Counseling. Under the home funds, we are putting $270,000 towards Habitat for Humanity, which will help with home buyer assistance in 9 homes. And then we have a chunk going to Homeward, again, on the Trinity project to help beef that up. And then we've got some operating expenses through Homeward for helping to facilitate these items. So I just wanted to give a brief thumbnail sketch of what these are going to. There's, of course, far more need in our community than we can begin to address with this amount of money, but we try to make it the most impactful as possible. And that's the slate for this year. So I hope it has your support.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Motion is in order. Discussion on the motion. Ms. Hart.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted the public to know that I will be refraining from this particular vote as the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity. It does not at all make sense that I would vote on this particular item. However, I do want them to know that in this particular case, the money that we would be receiving from the home funds will make our homes in East Missoula permanently affordable. So it truly becomes a great win-win for our community. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion nor any hands up in the audience, we will have a roll call vote.
On the funding recommendations resolution for CDBG, Harp,
Abstain.
Hess,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Merritt,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
and Vasika,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Becerra,
Yes.
and Contos.
Yes.
Would any of you like to change your votes? As 10 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 absent.
And the recommendations are approved. Our third item for final consideration is a request for a family transfer subdivision exemption at 205 Teddy Turn. Mr. Hess.
Thanks, Mayor. I apologize, I've got the wrong screen up. I move that we approve the entitlement request for a family transfer subdivision exemption in accordance with MCA 76-3-207B for a division made outside a platted subdivision and Missoula City Subdivision Regulations, Article 8, Section 8-040E2AI, based on the materials submitted in the application packet and subject to the condition of approval.
And that motion is in order. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none and seeing no hands raised among attendees, we will have a roll call vote.
Okay, on the family transfer subdivision exemption, I think we start this round with Hess.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Merritt,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Zika,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Contos,
Yes.
Harp.
Yes.
Would any of you like to change your vote? It is 11 ayes and 1 absent.
And the exemption is approved. And finally, another subdivision exemption for a boundary line relocation at the mill site. And once again, Mr. Hess.
Thank you. I move that we approve the request for a subdivision exemption for boundary line relocation for lots 6 through 18, located at Block 6 of the mill site subdivision, Phase 1, Wyoming North, in accordance with MCA 76.32072, based on the findings of fact in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval.
And that motion is in order. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, and once again, no hands up among attendees, we'll have a roll call vote.
Okay, on the subdivision exemption for boundary line relocation for the mill site, Jones,
Yes.
Merritt,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Zika,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Becerra,
Yes.
Contos,
Yes.
Harp,
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
Would any of you like to change your vote? That's 11 ayes. And
Point of order, please, Mayor.
And I do see that Ms. Erbacher is in the audience and has a hand up.
And Mayor, if I may, I did not make the correct motion, and I'd like to just state into the record what I should have said.
And let me just hear from Ms. Erbacher here real quickly, maybe the same issue.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is probably the same issue. Just a change in condition language to condition number 5. So I'll let Jordan likely address that.
Yeah, so there's a few changes, and these are the motion that I intended to make was that subject to the conditions of approval as amended by memo number 1, which is attached to the agenda and which was sent out today by Emily Gluckin. And I believe that the changes that Jamie is referencing are in there. There's changes to a few other conditions as well.
And we can stipulate to that, Ms. Rabine, as a function of the record.
I have it in the recommended
Thank you.
motion now.
And Ms. Merritt?
I apologize. I do actually need to change my vote on that, Marty. For the record, I'll be abstaining from voting on that since I am an employee at WGM Group, and this is one of WGM Group's projects. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Ms. Merritt. And you're muted, Ms. Rabine.
I said, shall we call a roll again, or shall I just read it off the way I think I've?
You may simply read it, please.
Okay, I believe that we have 10 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 absent.
Thank you. And the exemption is approved. That's it for final consideration. I'll pass on communications from the mayor this evening and begin the comments with Ms. Merritt.
I wasn't expecting to go first. I'll just note for the record that our Affordable Housing Resident Advisory Committee will be, I believe, holding its first meeting this week, and I'm very excited. I want to say thank you so much to staff for all the hard work that they put into getting that up and running. Thanks a bunch.
And Ms. Jones.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a shout out congratulations to all of the high school seniors who graduated this last Friday from the AA high schools. I know there were 3 graduations held at the football stadium at the university, and they went well. It was a beautiful day, and I'm always glad when everyone is safe the next day from these graduations. So I'm glad that everyone got home safe that night and there were no issues. So good luck, everyone, as they head off for their summer and then on to new lives.
And Ms. Cheryl,
Pass, thank you.
Ms. Hart,
Thanks. I just wanted to share with folks a very short story about sidewalks. I know, a very exciting topic, but the other week I was driving on my commute out to East Missoula, and over the course of 2 days, I saw a woman who was in a wheelchair pushing a grocery cart from Albertson out to wherever she lives on that route. 2 days later, I see a gentleman in a wheelchair as well, pushing another grocery cart. And I have to admit, I felt some pity at first, but in reality, when I stopped to think about it, I realized that actually, if it wasn't for the sidewalk, those people would be very dependent upon others. And those sidewalks created a form of independence that I think is really important that we value in this community. And I know there's neighborhoods in this community that do not possess those sidewalks. So as we move forward and we go into the budget season, I'm sure that we will be contemplating our sidewalk program and hope that we can continue to make more folks more independent throughout our community.
and Mr. Campos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll pass.
And Mr. Hess.
Thanks. If those LUP motions seemed a little clunky, they were, and I apologize. I wanted to say that we have a new process, and I'd like to say that's what tripped me up. So just so that everyone from the public that is tuning in tonight is aware, this has been mentioned several times, but I'm trying to bring it up a few times. We have a public hearing for land use items, and then we have an informational committee item the next week. And then we have final consideration the following week. So there's 3 opportunities to hear about land use projects and weigh in. And council's already asked questions and provided feedback at 2 of those previous meetings. So these tonight were fairly straightforward actions, but if it appears as though items are passing without much consideration, they've been thoroughly considered at 2 other opportunities. So I wanted to just get that out there if anyone is interested in the process. Again, the public hearing is an opportunity to hear a lengthy staff presentation. The subsequent committee meeting is an opportunity to raise additional public comment or other questions. And then this final consideration is kind of the wrap up. So all of those meetings, of course, are archived as well. Thanks.
And Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to follow up on somewhat of Ms. Jones's comment, school lets out this week for most all of our schools here in Missoula County, which means that there will be lots of kids out and about. So please be mindful. And as we all start to get out and about more as we get vaccinated and things start moving or opening back up, I've noticed a lot more traffic. And so just want everyone to take it extra beat. Be mindful, follow the speed limits, follow the signs for school zones, and watch out when you're passing a neighborhood park because splash decks are open, kids are out and about, and we want to make sure that everyone has a safe summer. And that's it. So just be on the lookout. Thanks so much.
Ms. West.
So I just want to congratulate Homeward and the Housing Authority and Blue Line. I think in the past week we had 3 groundbreakings. So Bellagio broke ground and both Trinity sites broke ground. So that's going to end up being 402 affordable rental units in our community. And it also includes 30 supportive housing units and a navigation center. So it is, I think most of those should be move-in ready by 2022 and 2023, which is a long ways away, but in reality, just around the corner. And I'm just thrilled that we are where we are right now on those projects. And thank you for everyone who made those possible.
And Ms. Vasita.
Thanks. There's a couple of things that I want to mention tonight. First of all, Marty, I really appreciated putting up the committee schedule like that. I think that's something we should continue doing. Next, Ms. Hart did mention sidewalks, and I've always been a big fan of putting more money from the general fund into roads and sidewalks. And especially now that I'm pushing a stroller every day, I really appreciate those sidewalks. There is a Flag Day ceremony next Monday, June 14th at 2 p.m. That's at the American Legion Open Field on Tower Road, north of the Western Montana State Veterans Cemetery. It starts at 2 p.m. The public are welcome to come help lower tattered and retired flags into a ceremonial burning barrel. And the public are welcome to help that. I think there's going to be over 500 flags that need to be retired. So all the help is much appreciated. If you want more information about that, please email me at vesica.ci.missoula.mt.us. Or if you need information on where to bring your old flag for retirement, you can email Susan at bluemountain@montana.com. And finally, summer is upon us. It's getting really hot out, and just a reminder to not leave your dogs or your kids in a hot car. That is all. Thank you.
Ms. Becerra.
Pass, thank you.
And Mr. Ramos, your batting cleanup. Sorry, did you pass, sir?
I did pass. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we have no committee reports this evening nor any new business. Are there any additional items to be referred? All right, seeing none. Any miscellaneous communications, petitions, reports, or announcements? All right, seeing none of those, as always, I thank you for your service, and we will be adjourned.